Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Zachariah. Greetings of peace to you and everybody. Welcome again to our weekly show here at Shure TV. I want to welcome all the viewers and thank Shure TV. This week, what we wanted to discuss was current events and how they have an effect on our health in general. And as we know, many different things are happening right now in society. We have the pandemic, which is up front in our face every day in the news, and then on top of that, now we have some political upheaval with the insurrection and the attack on the Capitol by the Trump supporters. We've had a lot of people sort of feeling a little uncomfortable. We as people always want to be healthy and calm and relaxed, and part of our health is to have that mental calmness and cognizance of safety and security is what our bodies and what our mental condition asks for. And when that gets kind of rocked and shaken at the core, then people question the future and whether or not they have a stable situation moving forward, and that in effect affects our health. So it's very important that we take things in and analyze them and kind of put things in perspective and really see that, these events that are happening, although they might be things that are happening, 6-7 hours away or a flight away in Washington, D.C., they do have some negative effects on us health-wise. Of course, all human beings, the security that we seek starts with the security of having shelter, having a good, healthy environment, and having our food and having peace of mind, which is very important. And unfortunately, these things recently that have occurred in the news and that we see that there's a lot of instability, it brings things to question. And, there's also forecasts and news events that are telling us that, different authorities are telling us that there's going to be more riots and more violence and more upheavals. And this is really not something that goes with the idea of good health, because health, as you know and we know, is a combination of your mental well-being as well as your physical well-being. So when we combine the mental and physical well-being, then we get a holistic, healthy being. So currently, as you saw last week, probably in the events and in the news, we had people, sort of attacking Congress when they were trying to certify the Electoral College vote. The House and Congress and Senate, they were in the Capitol building, and you saw what happened. It's something which hasn't happened in the U.S. for the last 150 years. An insurrection by definition, where citizens of the country forcefully try to mandate and change and stop a legal proceeding of government. So the legal definition is there, but we as bystanders and common people, when we observe it, the government for us represents a place where we can go for shelter, for help, for comfort. But now suddenly that stable entity in our lives and in our minds is being has become vulnerable. And when this happens, it affects our health, our overall health, because we feel that there's an instability by nature, by these events. And how that affects us is, number one, it might subconsciously stress you and overtly stress you as well. Some people get anxious and they get anxiety, and when they see these kind of things happening, especially when people like the FBI and other authorities predict that there's going to be before Inauguration Day or on Inauguration Day, there's going to be attacks on all 50 capitals by these type of people, and including in Washington, D.C., and they're talking about the security of the events and the stability of society, and they're telling everybody to stay home and watch online, and on top of that, to exacerbate that, we have a pandemic that's going on that's causing 3,500 to 4,000 deaths now per day in the U.S., and this is unprecedented. So for us to remain in a healthy state, we have to take these things in perspective and kind of step back and see what we can control and what our sphere of influence is. For us to stress about it, it doesn't help us. We can take action. We can discuss it with others. We can have a family discussion, especially if you have children. Children see these news headlines just like you do, and they can't process it. So there needs to be a discussion with the children about what's going on and what has happened, and that everything's hopefully going to be all right, and everything's going to proceed in a peaceful and comforting fashion. This is very important to get across to children because this affects them. You might have children that will have a hard time sleeping. They might have a hard time with their appetite. And same thing happens to adults. You get an alteration. As soon as there's something not right mentally, or you're kind of feeling a little bit of anxiety, then it affects your sleep pattern. It affects your appetite. It affects your energy levels during the day. It affects your work production. So it's very important to keep these things in mind, and you need time to kind of decompress from these events. And in order to decompress from these events, you need to have an outlet. The outlet could be, currently in this situation, FaceTiming a friend, talking about the politics, getting it out of your mind, the fear or the anxiety that you have, discussing it, talking to them, and getting their perspective, and exchanging ideas so that you become you don't build all that negative energy into you. And the other thing we can do, which is very important, is like I've said many times before, is not to consume this ongoing cycle of cable news or network news that's happening, 24 hours a day, breaking news. This is not good for the body. It stresses the body every single second on your phone, on your iWatch, on your iPad, on your tablet, on your computer. When you're working, you'll get flashes of news happening. You shouldn't be getting these notifications all the time. You should have a set time where you get up, you check your email, you check your news, and then you get on with the daily activities of your life and your work. You do that. Maybe you do your exercise, you have your breakfast, you get on with whatever you're doing, whatever your job is, or whatever your hobby is. You do that, and then you set aside time for current events, and then you read them, and then you set time for discussion. It's very important to decompress. I've spoken to a lot of people this last week, and a lot of people seem nervous. They want to know what's going to happen. Is everything going to be all right? This inauguration is going to take place. It's going to be peaceful. Do we have enough? Enough authorities there that can protect our government officials? A lot of people I talk to are from the immigrant community. A lot of them came from their countries back in Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka. I've talked to people from Jordan, Syria, Egypt, and they're telling me, they're like, hey, we left those countries because of the instability of those governments. And now currently in the U.S., we're seeing this instability. And this kind of brings back what you would call a PTSD, a post-traumatic stress, where they remember when they left and what the situation was. And this kind of turmoil in the government here now, unfortunately, it's bringing on the same types of feelings. And currently, when they have that, then it causes anxiety and stress, and sort of they don't know how to process that. And it's very important for us to try to maintain a regular sleep pattern, a regular intake of good nutrition, good valuable food sources, and then also, a good exercise pattern. It's very important for the body. These things help with your health mentally and physically as well. It's very important. Or if you can take a simple walk that's 30 minutes a day, get your mind off things, get your mind off work, off of family, off of current events, and just relax. Let your mind decompress. It's very important in this current atmosphere. And then the other thing is, we have to have trust that things are going to go the way they're supposed to go, and especially those of you of faith. You put you perform your actions, you do what you can, you do what is best, and to the best of your capability, and then you put your trust in God, and God will take care of it for you. You don't stress about little offsetting things or negative things that come through your daily, whether it's news or events that happen in your life. These things will all pass, and you'll see it through, like many others have. And then the other thing is that we're all in this together. Whether it's the pandemic, whether it's this news about this Capitol insurrection and Trump refusing to leave peacefully, and he's trying to make a point, and this and that. It's all in the milieu of things. It's a small dot in history, and then everybody in this society is going through the same thing. We have the same news cycles that happen, the same things happening with the pandemic. Fortunately, now they're opening up the vaccination, and more people are getting vaccinated, which is a great thing. If you can get the vaccine, or get your elders, and if you're a frontline worker, please try to get that vaccine as soon as possible, so that it decreases and mitigates your risks and society's risk. It's very important to do that. And fortunately, now they've released the vaccines to everybody that's 65 and over, and all healthcare workers. And pretty soon, before you know it, here in Southern California, Disneyland has become a vaccination site, as well as Dodger Stadium. So in Dodger Stadium, they're going to be doing about 12,000 vaccines a day, and I think half of that here in Disneyland. So they're trying to aspire to getting a lot of vaccines in the next few weeks. And I think President-elect Biden has mentioned that one of his goals in the first 100 days is to get 100 million vaccines out in the first 100 days. So that's pretty. It's a lofty goal, and we wish him success in providing the administration to do that and providing the means to do that. We were on a phone call with the Orange County Health Authority, and they were saying that most likely they're going to have these facilities like Disneyland and the sports arenas to have vaccination centers, as well as having the National Guard distribute the vaccines and administer them, so that it decreases the red tape. It's just a vaccine they can administer. As long as they can observe you for 10, 15 minutes afterwards and you're okay, then they'll release you. So that's something good to look forward to, as it'll contribute to herd immunity in the society, and hopefully we can move forward and get this behind us. So again, the issue is the current events and how it affects our health. So unfortunately, other than the vaccine, which was the best news that we have, which gives us hope for looking to the future and kind of defeating this pandemic. In terms of the government, everything's going to be peaceful. Everything's going to take care of itself. We should rest assured that our elected officials will take the necessary precautions to make everything a peaceful transition coming up. So, it's not something that we can be anxious about, because we ourselves, all we can do is protect ourselves, our families, our own homes, our own communities, and that's it. We don't. We shouldn't be worrying about national and international things which we can't control ourselves, and that will help us decrease our stress hormones and the cortisol levels and things like that in our body, so that we don't have that constant stimulus in the body where we're stressed. And once that happens, that it affects your mind by thinking. Stress can also impair judgment. And then physically, it'll cause different things in different people. Some people overeat when they stress. Some people don't eat and starve themselves when they stress. Some people will kind of ruin their daily routine of exercising. Some people will lose a lot of sleep. Some people will sleep extra and just kind of be depressed about things. So we got to keep it all in a nice balance and keep things in perspective. What I personally do myself, I first thing in the morning, when I check the news, I'll check it for 15, 20 minutes, see the major news, what's going on, and then I'll put that behind me and get on with my daily routine. And then maybe in the afternoon or evening, then tune in again and check out the news and see what's going on. And that's it. It's not healthy to consistently keep that news on and be watching the news. It's really not, unless you're at a point where it doesn't affect you in terms of it really, you're apathetic. If you're pretty much apathetic to news, then you can watch it 24/7. But if it does affect you and you see that it gets you down or it gets you extra up or things like that, then it's better to limit it. It's much more better to limit it. And then nowadays, we have all these little apps on our phone and our iPhone watches and things like that that give you notices. So now I've noticed a couple of people were telling me that lately their iWatch is telling them that their heart rate is a little too high, and this has been stressing them. And with a little bit more further questioning, you can find out in what situation was your heart rate high. Was it were you having anxiety? Were you just going up the stairs, or you're running, doing something? What was it? So these kind of things are kind of adding to the stress. Nonetheless, everyone should get their yearly checkup, which is encouraged. Maintain a good relationship with your personal physician. Go and get checkups yearly. Make sure that you're eating right and that all your hormones and blood levels and all the nutrients are all balanced, and your vitamins, everything is good. That's very important to do for maintenance and for general health. And then on top of that, for your mental health, as I recommend always, it's important to decompress. And whether you meditate, whether you go take a walk, whether you play a game of chess with someone, something that helps you unwind, you should definitely make a conscious effort to include that in your daily or weekly routine. You have to do something to keep you mentally fresh. It's very important, and that'll help you recharge for everything in your life, whether it's spending time with your loved ones and family, or whether it's being productive at work, whether it's having a good sleep pattern, good exercise, maintaining a good weight, keeping a healthy environment around you, making the right food choices. All these things are interconnected, and it's very important to keep these things balanced and in perspective. It's always important. I'm always a believer of keeping the middle path, not too much, not too little. And it's not good to abstain from things. For example, a lot of people will say, what, I'm going on a diet now. I'm not going to eat chocolate for the next 3 months. These kind of things are not sustainable. It's important to keep things in perspective, keep things in the middle path. And once in a while you eat a piece of chocolate, it's not going to kill you. So it's fine, get that out of your system. But to follow either extremes, it's not beneficial to the health in the long run. And it's not something which is sustainable, and it doesn't have longevity. You want to do something that creates an environment where you're mentally and physically balanced health-wise. And that's where we all will experience the best quality of life. That's the goal. And, these current events, things happen. We've heard, tragic stories. We've heard great stories that happen, and they shouldn't affect you to the level of altering your daily life patterns or routines or your work schedule or things like this. I mean, in the past, people lived in different sides of the world and they had no idea what's going on. But now, because of the internet and the global influence in terms of connectivity, we know what's going on in every corner of the earth. And I don't think we were meant to process that. It's not conducive to health to know what's going on everywhere in the world, or to have multiple news streams coming in at you from different parts of the world all the time. So it's very it's a phenomenon definitely in the immigrant community. You'll see them listening to news from back home. And then on top of that, they have news here, and then they have their families here, then they have families back home. So everything's kind of doubled up. So you're stressing yourself. You have double the stress. And it's good to keep things in perspective. Although things are happening back home or in the world, we can't control it. Yes, we become aware of it. Yes, if there's some type of cause or charity that you can go and benefit and donate to, and it's helping an orphan halfway across the world, wonderful. Now you can do that. If you can afford to do that, that's great. You're making a difference in someone's life. But then again, if other than those kind of things that we can do, there's not much change that we can make across the world. So it's better to focus locally and in your own communities and do things that are tangible and you see the effects and you can sustain it and it'll have longevity for you. These things I think will help us become healthier and keep a healthy and sane environment around us. And the whole goal is to keep ourselves in a balanced state and have total and full health, which is important, which is very important. Health is not just physical or just mental. It's a combination of mental health, spiritual, physical. It's a combination of all those things, and you have to be cognizant of that in your life. There are some people that don't adhere to a religion or to any type of deity, but yet they still call themselves spiritual and they do yoga and they perform the certain practices that are spiritually based. So that helps them, that balances their life. And they don't even, believe in the deity or anything like that. So for those that do believe, it's very important to keep yourself busy and perform and consistently, whether it's the activities of life that you do, whether it's the exercises, the work, or even some of your spiritual obligations. It all benefits the body and the mind in the long term. And those people have been shown to be more successful at accomplishing and finishing tasks. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Hopefully, we'll see as these current events, kind of smooth over and everything comes to a resolution. No need to stress. In terms of the pandemic, you know what to do. Wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, and stay home. Stay home is the best thing you can do at this point. We are Southern California is the epicenter of the pandemic currently in the U.S. And we want to make sure that if you are in Southern California, unless you have to go and work, you're a first line worker or something like that, just stay home with your families. That's the best thing you can do, and that's the safest thing you can do. God forbid we don't want you to become a statistic for COVID. And you see what's going on in the ERs and in the hospitals. Everybody is overwhelmed across the board. They're putting up tent facilities in parking lots of hospitals now. And the situation is like that right now. And the more you stay home, the less crowded the hospitals will become. And it's very important, it's very important. It's a dire condition that people are in currently. So please take that into consideration. Looking forward, vaccinations are there. We're going to get the vaccines going. People are getting vaccinated, and we're hoping for more and more vaccinations and less COVID. As the vaccinations increase, we'll have less COVID in the society, and this will pass, and we'll see it through. But please take all the precautions necessary to maintain your health, your family's health, your loved ones' health, and your community's health. This is a social responsibility. And then when we have social responsibilities, we need to make sure that we're taking care of not only ourselves, but our society and our community. It's very important. That is an obligation that all citizens should take, and it's a public safety concern. So with that, I'd like to sign off. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week. You guys have a great week and stay positive and take care of yourself and enjoy a balanced and healthy life. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.